Hi, y'all. Oh, let me do the thing. Where are you? Huh. Well, that's that. Maybe I should make my space a little cleaner, huh? What's up, everybody? Welcome to the live. Hi, Philly. Right, Ray Reagan, KM. What's up, guys? What's up? This is gonna be a great. This is kind of like a monumental live, guys. Because I did something that it's typical third line. So if you have a third line in your profile, this one's for you because you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So I've been working on the archive. Um, I've been working on this community that I've been telling you guys about for probably like the last month, just like solid. And before that, I have been running sort of an archive. It's different than the version that it is today. It was more of like a library, whereas now it's like going to be an actual community. But I've been working on this thing for a long freaking time, guys. And um, yesterday when I was working on it, I realized that I was working on a bunch of elements that aren't necessarily like crucial to have online at launch. And so, and I do this as a third line because I'm a perfectionist. It's sort of my unconscious way or subconscious way of not putting something out there, not being vulnerable, not exposing myself. Um, and so yesterday I did the crucial thing, and it didn't take me that long, and so I launched the archive yesterday. So that community that I've been telling you guys about, it's actually up right now, and it's early entry, so the price is reduced from what the price I want the price to be. The price is probably going to be something like, eventually it's going to be like $100 a month to be a part of this, but right now you can get in at $37, or you can prepay for the whole year and do 333 for the entire year. And this is where we're going to be teaching sensory deconditioning. This is where we're going to be showing people the somatic approach and how to use the senses to approach human design. So that way you're not just like stuck in books and stuck in these like power games of like who knows more about human design. And I'm not trying to trash talk anyone that loves human design and studies human design, but there's this vast disparity between the people that know human design and the people that are actually able to use human design. A lot of the times you have people who know a lot about human design, but they don't actually apply human design in their life, or they're still very conditioned, even though they know a lot of information. And so we're looking to get in between that, and we're asking ourselves, what things does somebody need to know to actually free themselves from conditioning? What's up over there on YouTube? Hello. What does a relationship theme mean on Neutrino app? I'm 9 and 0. I will talk about that in a second. Definitely. And that's a great question, because it's like, in terms of relationships, one of the biggest things that human design does for us is it helps us to relate to other people in a differentiated fashion. So that way I'm not relating to you, exclusively based off the way I think you want to be related to. I'm also relating to you in a way that works for me. Right. And 9 and 0 is a relationship theme that really means like there's not a lot of stuff is defined in your relationship theme. So the way you guys process emotions, the way you guys process, you know, uh, pressure, the way you guys talk about things, and the way that you guys stay healthy together, that's going to be fixed. And it doesn't mean that it's fixed forever. It just means that it's not meant to be open. So, for instance, me and my partner, we're 8 and 1. We have the solar plexus open, and when it comes to dealing with emotions and emotional processes, like sometimes she wants me there, sometimes she says she doesn't want me there, but she actually wants me there, sometimes it's vice versa. Like it's very open, right? It's very fluid. Versus a 9 and 0 relationship, typically there's going to be some way that's best for you guys to process your emotions together, because that center in your guys' composite is defined. And if you can figure out what that is and go for it multiple times over time, you're going to see, oh, this is the way we process emotions. Oh, this is the way we stay healthy. Oh, this is what lights up our sacrals. Oh, this is the direction that we want to move in. All right. So with a 9 and 0 relationship, again, they say 9 and 0, nowhere to go, because it feels so complete. It feels so consuming, which is not a good or a bad thing. It's just a thing. it feels like, oh, I'm good here, like we got everything. When someone else comes in to the conversation between you and your 9-0 partner, a lot of the times they won't be able to hang. They'll just pop off. Right? And think about it too, because again, it's not just about the theory of what this is, it's about the actual application. Think about it, Marie, when you're out and about and you guys are 9-0, how often are people like coming into the composite and then just leaving like very quickly, not like immediately, like they never talk to you or you guys never talk to people. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like how it's probably more rare for you guys to you and your 9-0 person to drop in with another person. It's probably much easier to drop in with another person when your partner is not around. And again, it's not a bad thing. That's just a thing that's there. Because when you guys are together, you're 9-0 and you're nowhere to go. That's what that means. So anyway, um, Marie, fun question about relationships. And yeah, this is called a composite in human design, where you take two people's body graphs and you put them together. Let's say, do you know any books on deconditioning or paradigm shifting working on avoiding dogmatism? Regan, I have the book for you. This was oops. This was the book that changed everything for me. And if you go to the links in my bio, you'll be able to find this book. It's called Awakening the Third Eye by Dr. Samuel Sagan. This is my beloved teacher who passed away a couple years ago. And the premise of this book was literally, what are the ways to access spiritual worlds? That's what awakening the third eye means. What are the ways to access the spiritual world, and how have all of the religions done it? And then how can I take away all the dogmatism and religious belief in it and just have the practices and the techniques? That's what this book is. This is in terms of spirituality, this is I've learned the most and applied the most and gotten the most benefit out of this book. And that actually goes in tandem with this book. Like, human design has helped me so much, but it's only because I have all the knowledge from this book that I have the approach that I do to human design. And I'm about to take that to a whole nother level, because if you want to be part of a community that is approaching human design, not like this, but actually exploring the human body as a form, because human design says to surrender to the form, but they don't teach you how to explore the form, the physical body. What we're doing in the archive is exploring the physical body, specifically starting with the face, because this is where everyone gets stuck. They don't know how to take information from their head into their body. So this is where we're going to start. But we're going to do this through weekly classes. This is going to be like a live in training. It's going to be like you're going to this portal opens up wherever you are, and you're able to just hop into a portal and start doing some training with us. So do you think projector women and manifesting generators are compatible? Totally. Yeah, actually, projectors and generators, manifesting generators or not, they're very compatible. And it's really how you say, exciting to see projector and manifesting generator couple, because they're actually some of the most compatible. They just have to be able to see each other. What I mean by that is, like, so let's say you have a projector woman and a manifesting generator man, right, in a relationship. And let's say that the man doesn't know how to recognize the woman. You're going to have problems, right? If the man never is asking the projector for counsel, never inviting her opinion in, you're going to have problems. If the projector does not recognize the generator, they're going to have problems, right? But not so much as if the generator doesn't recognize the projector, right? Because the generator on their own can feel recognition through seeing themselves. For projectors, it's much harder for y'all to see yourselves. Yeah. Then you literally talk about my relationship. Oh, well, yes. Apologies. Not sorry. Sorry, not sorry. How do you enter? Okay, so if anyone wants to get in the archive, just go through the link in my bio. There's a landing page and everything. If you need more information, fill out the forms. If you're ready to hop in, and it's like, I'm not here to like take anyone's money. It's $37, which I know can be a lot for people. If in the first 3 weeks you're not like super stoked on it, I'll give you your money back. I'm not tripping on any of that. Menard, BRB, thank you. Yeah, so and then when like when it comes to relationships that are like that as well, a lot of the times it's like oh, how do I change? How do I change? How do I get my partner to see me? Right. And it's not actually about getting your partner to see you. It's about you being able to see yourself. And most of the time it's about you being able to see yourself in picking someone that doesn't see you. Because who does that person remind you of? Diddy said you left your baby oil. Gross. Um, so if it's like if you don't see yourself enough to vet a person before you enter into a relationship with them, then you deserve to be with people that are not going to see you. And I'm not saying that as like I'm trying to be mean. I'm saying that as like that's how the universe is. It's very matter of fact. It's like, look, if you are not going to be able to recognize your own gifts and acknowledge your own energy levels as a projector woman in a relationship with a manifesting generator, then how are you going to expect that person to do that for you? Everyone is just looking for this sort of external form of validation without being able to first validate themselves. And that's a lot of what we're going to be doing in the archive is teaching ourselves to validate ourselves through proper pressurization of the body. And by pressurization I mean like how much can you hold in your cheeks while you're still able to swallow? And that may seem kind of silly to some people, but that is directly related to your ability to take everything you see, smell, and taste and bring it down into your body so that it doesn't blow your mind. Right? So yeah, so relationships, and when you're looking at a composite in human design as well, right? It's not necessarily, oh, this is the relationship that you're in. It's more like, hey, this is the potential relationship that you're in, because a lot of people are still not themselves. You look at their body graph and you look at them, and it's like two totally different people. That's called conditioning, right? That's like taking a human baby and raising them and being raised by wolves. The human is conditioned to think it's a wolf. You guys have heard, you've heard that story before, right? I was raised by wolves. That's what it means. And as a survival mechanism, life can do that. Life can say, okay, these are the conditions that we're in. I'm going to warp and morph myself so that I can survive in these conditions. Tarzan, exactly. Yep. Raised by apes. And but it doesn't make him an ape, right? You understand what I'm saying? Like, just because you're a projector raised by generator parents doesn't mean you're a generator. It means you're conditioned to behave like a generator. If you want to experience your own life, you have to let go of your conditioning. But this means letting go of parts of your conditioning that are maybe beneficial for you to some degree, that you in your mind you've attached to them and you've assigned some level of value to them. And it's okay, because here's the thing: is everyone is trying to like get away from their conditioning really fast. And what we want to do, what we want to teach you guys, is how to use pressure like a flashlight to explore the innards, the throat, the organs, the heart, the lungs, the eyes. So that way, you, instead of trying to combat your conditioning and run away from change your conditioning and all that stuff, you can just reveal your nature and just become aware of everything else. And I'll tell you guys, it's very insidious. Like, I'm really excited to be finally taking like a community through this, because some of you who have no idea how to apply human design, you're like, whoa, that's a system. It's going to take me forever to learn it. Just in the first 3 weeks of doing the sensory deconditioning method, you're gonna see some things that are gonna like really trip you up. Could you read my 6-4 projector? Could I read your 6-4 projector? 6-4 projector is the role model opportunist. I can talk about your profile. Projectors are beings that you have penetrating auras, and it's so important for you to learn how to wait for an invitation, because you guys don't have a lot of sustained energy. But you're very, very deep. Like, you can go super deep with someone, but if you don't wait for them to ask, you're gonna go super deep, and you're gonna be like, how come you're not here with me? And they're gonna be like, dude, you're weird. And you're gonna be like, oh God. So anyway, the 6-4 is the role model, which for the first 30 years of your life, it's like you're going to be making mistakes, date the wrong person, have the wrong job, etc. Oh, 1-4, got you. Okay. Are you 6'4" though? Are you like that tall? Maybe, is that what you were saying? Tall projectors versus short projectors. Tall projectors definitely get noticed more just out of the anomaly of their height, but I don't know if they get better invitations. Probably, probably. Height is a thing. People associate status and all that stuff to height. But anyway, 1-4. 1-4 is the investigative opportunist. So you're still an opportunist, but you're an investigative opportunist. So rather than being a role model, you're more like what I am tall. Okay, gosh, that's so funny. So on the conscious side, your mind is really going to love investigating things, asking questions. Really what you're trying to do is figure out like, hey, what can I build here? Or do I want to build something here? Right? Like, who lived here before me? What's this stuff made of? How long is it going to take? Right? You're just going to naturally be very inquisitive like that. Though that might be a part of yourself that you've suppressed due to conditioning. Maybe your mom and dad didn't like questions, or maybe you had a teacher that would punish you for asking questions. No such thing as a dumb question, right? Just dumb people. No, I'm kidding. That's one of my teachers said that. I thought it was hilarious. But there really is no such thing as dumb question. But there are certain questions that are better than other questions. And so as an investigator, you ought to endeavor, how do I make my line of questioning? How do I make my investigation more efficient? Or how do I make my investigation more results oriented or more objective? Because the first line, it is very objective. It is very like matter of fact. Now, the fourth line, this is your subconscious or your unconscious part of your design, is more so about connections and opportunities, right? Instead of hiring a photographer that you found on social media, you're going to ask one of your friends, hey, I know you're a photographer, or do you know a photographer that can help me do this shoot, right? It's about being able to pulse and tap into your network of opportunities at any moment. And so it's very important for you to have a strong, not necessarily a strong social circle, but a strong network of people. Because 7 degrees out, friends of friends of friends of friends of friends of friends of friends, that's everybody on the planet. And so it's really being able to leverage your network for opportunities, to further your investigation, to receive more invitations so that you can manifest your signature of success. That's the 1-4 projector, my friend. Titus, hello, my friend. Hello, hello. I heart astrology, lol. Yeah. Yeah, I just got my necklace back, guys. I don't know. For any of you that have ever followed me for a long time, I used to wear this necklace all the time. And it says degenerate and spiritual on it. The reason it says degenerate on it is because it's kind of like the yin yang, right? Like spiritual is like really good and degenerate is like bad. But we all do degenerate things. Like I did a degenerate thing the other day. I had a guy come into my live. If anyone was here, let me know when this guy came in. And he was like, you're not teaching me anything I don't know. And was just kind of like the energy that I was getting was like very egoic and confusing. And so I addressed it a little bit, and then everyone in the comments kind of started hopping on him and was like, oh, it's a sad day when you know, how you say that there's nothing left to learn. Anyway, he reached out to me. And I reached out back, and I didn't say anything mean at all, but bro was very upset and blocked me and reported me for bullying and harassment. And I just thought it was so funny because it was one of those things where, you know, it's like you got someone that's like pestering you and you try to defend yourself non-combatively, and then they go tell the teacher, or they tell law enforcement, oh, this person abused me. And it was just a really interesting experience. But it was, yeah, right. Yeah, it was, and it actually made me think, because then he shared and started kind of opening up about some of the things that have been going on. And I responded. I was already blocked at this point, but I responded. I said, oh, hey, dude, look, I had no idea you were moving through that. You just showed up like a jerk. You just kind of showed up like a know-it-all jerk. So that's how I treated you. But if you had showed up with a little bit more vulnerability, and this is the magic of vulnerability, right? Is you never know what people are going through, and so it's so important to be kind. And that was my degenerate activity yesterday. I wasn't necessarily kind or considerate of what he was going through, and I don't believe I bullied him, but I definitely learned a lesson. See, this is me. I don't lose. I either win or I learn, right? It came across rude as a viewer, right? And that's how I felt about it too. But especially in social media and on the internet, where you can get banned for anything, right? I called him out a bit, but that's it. Yeah, and then he got in my DMs and was like saying stuff to me, and I was just like, hey dude, look, I told him, I don't want to play your game. I have no reason to trust you. If you want people to listen to you, get off your high horse and start being like more authentic or something like that. And yeah, he reported me. But you do lose. You do lose in engaging with people like that. And I realized that yesterday. So that's kind of what the degenerate is about. And it's also about like having fun. Not that I'm a drinker, but it's like if you drink a little bit or you smoke a little bit or you do some things that are like quote unquote degenerate, like I don't think that doesn't make you spiritual. Right. And this is something that yeah, definitely a 3-5 moment. big time 3-5 moment. But that's why I'm sharing because I'm like, hey, if someone is coming and poking you, like as annoying as it is to just like back down, don't be a coward, but don't engage with the darkness. Don't engage with that kind of energy, because if you do, it's just gonna bite you in the butt. That's it. It's just gonna bite you in the booty. So if you want people to listen to you, follow your strategy and authority straight up. Yeah, that was, it was giving very like very not self vibes. Anyway, Marie, let's talk about the 5-1 generator. So I just posted a video about this for generators. This is like the secret strategy of a generator is to stop initiating. The strategy is to wait and respond, but the secret strategy is to stop initiating. And this was funny because this comes from Prana, who is a manifesting generator, and a very satisfied one at that. Like I've never felt any real frustration coming off of him, and we've had a lot of interactions. But he says stop initiating, because one of the things, and I've seen this happen a lot, like people know that they're supposed to wait and respond, but there's a difference between actually waiting to respond and thinking that you're waiting to respond. Like just tuning into your sacral sounds sometimes isn't enough to really impact and shift your conditioning. You also have to watch that part of yourself that wants to initiate things, and you have to stop that part of yourself, which sometimes feels like you're going 60 miles an hour and you're pulling the e-brake. Be safe, right? Don't do this in the car. But you guys know what I'm talking about. When your mind starts to go off and you're like, oh, I need to initiate that thing. It's like, well, stop initiating. What am I responding to? So stop initiating and then ask yourself, what is there to respond to? And then what is my response? Because if you don't have something to respond to, or you don't have a response, do nothing. And that sounds weird, but like do nothing. Walk away from the thing. And if you're emotional authority, you really have to learn how to stop initiating. Just because you're like, especially if you're in like the heat of the moment, right? If you're emotional authority, or if you're just generally, if you're an emotional person, you're subject to your emotions, you're subject to making emotional decisions. Stop. Just stop. What you're doing is you're taking energy that's supposed to be used for an alchemical process with yourself, and you're making it about something else. You're making it about, oh, this person made me feel this way. That thing, seeing that online made me emotional, and so now I'm gonna go do this thing. Don't do that. Stop doing that. Stop initiating emotional conversations. Like go sit with the emotion first before you do that. I'm trying to die or release the suffering actions, reactions. Yeah. Yeah, it's like there's these little deaths that happen for all of us, and people call them ego deaths, but really it's shedding conditioning. It's shedding, oh, I used to do things this way and now I'm starting to do things this way, and you have to grieve the thing that's dying. Would you be able to clip and post this bit for me? So if you just go to my YouTube, who is that? If you go to my YouTube, all of these lives are saved on my YouTube. So anyway, only one death. I don't see the way y'all see. Well, it's me. I'm the one talking here, not everyone else. And yeah, you don't have to see things the way that I see them. This is just my life. So anyway, yeah, and whether you acknowledge it or not, there's little deaths that happen all the time. It's like think about when you get your heart broken, man, or lady, right? When you get your heart broken, there's like a death. There's pain, right? There's a grieving process, right? Y'all is you and everyone who taught you. Okay, fair enough. So this is very tribal right here, and I want to take a moment because this is actually very interesting. When you use um plural language like you guys or versus you, it engages a tribe, right? Like if two people are having an argument and one of them says y'all or one of them says you guys or you're all different or you're all idiots or you're all brilliant or something like that, it engages the tribe because between individuals we can have conversations, but between tribes those are conflicting ways of being, which are sometimes directly detrimental to each other. This is how wars start. You have like you can look at the story of like Helen of Troy, right? One man takes one woman away from where she is, and that involves the tribes, and now there's a big war. This is one of the most wild things, you guys, because this is where the personal responsibility of the individual is becomes so important, right? Of recognizing that even the language that we use, uh, even in an isolated container in an individual conversation, it might be fine, but then once it gets put out to the rest of the world, that can be interpreted in any way. But when it gets to your tribe, like, people are going to want to back you up. Whoever you're talking with and having a disagreement with, people are going to back them up. And not to say that it always ends that way, but anyway, your knowledge isn't personal. It's isn't yours. It's just your Ankh see stars, those seeking before you learned it and gave it to you. Yeah, I mean, I don't, and it's passed down. Yeah, that's I get it. I get what you're saying. Um, so anyway, how's my day going? It's going good. It's going all right. I'm a little distracted by someone over here on TikTok. What is your intention, my friend? What do you want to happen here? How's my day? Is good. Is getting a little like it's getting a little activated because of you. Because I usually come on here and share this information that was shared with me because a lot of people get value out of it. Ignore me. You're making it very hard to ignore you. Like, it's funny because like I'm a little bit activated. I will be honest. I'm a little bit activated by you, my friend. It's not upsetting to me though. You know, I'm a little. I'm not. I wouldn't. I don't like to use the word triggered because it's like triggered makes it seem like you have some kind of power over me, and I'm just watching myself get like a little turned up and activated by you. It's not your fault, right? You're just being you. Um, but yeah, no, it's pretty funny. So anyway, as a 1-3, I might not need to binge your streams, dude. I do a lot of streaming. I go live like 3 times a week. So there's a bunch of stuff for you to stream. Now, if you really want to like, because you can binge watch me, and there's a bunch of how you say, um, it's like a binge watch. So you're just gonna get loaded up with information. But if you really want to start to kind of like methodically move and explore your body, which is really what kind of where I'm my vision is with human design, is it's not a system to like learn a new language. It's to like discover new sensations in your body. Come join the archive. Like I just opened up early entry yesterday, and we're still building some things in there. But the weekly calls are going to be getting started soon, so we're going to actually start taking people through what we call sensory deconditioning. Instead of approaching human design from the mental and like learning and teaching you guys about human design, what we're going to do is we're going to show you how to use pressure and sensation like a flashlight to start to explore the relationship between your nose and your heart, your eyes and your lungs, how that relates to your tailbone and your back and the muscles on your body. So it's a totally different approach to human design that doesn't actually even like need you to learn human design. Like, one of the exercises is puff your cheeks up real big and like again use pressure like a flashlight to like using like a bat would use sonar to like map out their teeth and stuff. What did I do that activated me, if you don't mind me asking? I'd like to see how I offended you. So I'm not offended, Guitar Beast. I'm not offended at all. I'm a little activated because I just had an experience with a guy on my last live that came in here, and then he like banned me. He blocked me or like accused me of harassing and bullying him. So I was getting a little bit activated by like that. I was like, man, are the bots just like trying to come after me and trying to catch me in like a moment where I'm just gonna like blow up on somebody? So um I can't be bullied. Right. And so it's like I believe that about myself, or I like to believe that about myself. But then also, if I can't be bullied, that means I can't get any stronger. And you see this a lot. I watch a lot of anime. I love anime, but a lot of the bad guys in anime are just dudes that got to the top. Like if you look at Yu Yu Hakusho, the main bad guy is a dude that became the strongest human being. And so he went and made a deal with like the demon world to become a demon, and then became the strongest demon because he was just like, I just want to be defeated in battle. You show, yeah. So, but it's and so when I like to believe that, oh yeah, I can't be bullied, but there's people that can activate me for sure. I wasn't taking offense. Um, it was just more so about the like, I don't believe what y'all believe. I forget what you said. Um, I've never died, not for me. I don't see the way y'all see it. I think it was I don't see the way y'all see it. Because what I did there was I got I got activated in that one because I felt like you were talking about the followers and the viewers. And I'm like, bro, don't project on the followers and stuff. So, but we're good. We're good. I'm not upset or not anything. But I am going to do my best to ignore you unless you want to have some more conversations that are related to my topics and stuff. It's fun noticing the activation. Yeah, it's and it's part of the practice of like sensory deconditioning is being able to recognize when it's like, oh, this has a sour taste and I don't like it, and it's coming on my face because like we're very sensational beings, and the tongue is actually so important in human life and how to direct attention, but nobody knows how to use it other than to like, like it's like right? Which is the same, like people are like and like like you don't know the value of it. That's why you're like exposing it and sharing it with everyone. But when you learn the value of the tongue, guys, there's a whole different level of like honesty and transparency that you can have with yourself. Right? Like even saying something like, "Oh, I never get triggered." For me, that's a lie. That's a lie. And if I were to say I'm someone that is so strong that I can never get triggered, you shouldn't believe me if I'm saying that. Because that would mean that you're elevating me, you're putting me on a pedestal. Number 1, which I don't want to be on, but that's how people like fall into cults, right? Yeah, because it's like when you put something in your mouth and it's like, just let it be, right? So many people, something goes into their system and they're like, but they're like, oh, this is great. This is so good. They smile, the lying smile. Everyone's told us for our entire lives, everyone's told us that, oh, smiling with your eyes is the real smile, but it's not. You see kids the way they smile? That's the real smile. Because kids are still breastfeeding. So kids or children, babies and toddlers are still breastfeeding. And the important thing to note about breastfeeding is that when you stop breastfeeding, what happens? You're in the weaning phase. You're looking for the boob. You're looking for something to soothe you and nourish you. But that's what maturing is. It's realizing that you don't need a boob to nourish you. You have your suction. We get so much more nourishment and so much more emotional processing happening, not when there's a boob or a pacifier in our mouth, but when we're sucking. You don't need the boob. And so many people, like so many dudes are out there trying to make their mom, they're trying to make their girlfriends or all these girls their mom. And so many women are out here trying to do the same thing to their men. They're trying to find men who will be the boob in their mouth. And that's the same thing as getting external validation. You like that one, Guitar Beast? As a generator with open headspaces, throat, ego, and solar plexus is very interesting noticing. Yes. So especially those like when you have undefined centers in your body graph, these kinds of exercises are going to be able to help prevent conditioning, or rather prevent by making you more aware of it. I'm having pressure in my center chest. Interesting. So when you feel pressure, right? Like what is your response to that pressure? Or if you're in the reactionary phase, like what is the reaction to the pressure? Is it like, oh no, something is wrong, this is a lot, or like this is fine? And also, do you know how to displace or equalize that pressure? 6'2" projector, wanting to homeschool my kids, no real community to back me up. I'm finally going to accept the fact that I might need to put them into public school for my own well-being. Marie, that's a hard issue. I'll tell you that as a parent as well. The idea of putting my children into public school as a way of like preserving my own mental well-being. I don't think there's any shame in that though. I think as for you, like there's no point in degrading yourself, so especially as like there's no way you can guide them if you're totally worn down. So put them in school for a year, see how it goes, see if you can't create some level of tolerance within yourself that you can maybe hopefully take them out of school and start homeschooling them again or something like that. I don't know, but I wouldn't if you have any shame around that, please don't. Because again, it's like everyone's trying to like run away from their trauma, be as spiritual as they can be, but sometimes you can't be as that spiritual yet. Like your body will not allow it. Your limitations are real and they won't allow it. And so if you let yourself be where you're at rather than where you want to be, you can start taking steps to where you want to be without putting all this shame and pressure on yourself to like be there immediately. And we live in a society that's very like, oh, make it happen immediately. And it's like, well, nothing happens like that, dude. There's a gradual progression. Like you know, you can do all kinds of stuff to make that happen, but you'll destroy yourself in the process. So yeah. I'm also a 6'2" mental projector and I homeschooled as well. I was wondering if any of the archive stuff can be used with kids. Totally. Yes. So and here's actually my excitement is eventually the archive is going to host a human design parenting course that I'm going to share. Like all of my coursework and all my best stuff, I'm just building a community. I could probably make more if I did like, you know, course launches and sold the courses individually, but like I don't want to, I really just want to create like a community. Now that's not in the archive yet. However, something that is good for all parents is to learn this sensory design stuff, is learn sensory deconditioning, knowing how to be able to take again all of the sensation because it's like it's in terms of sensation. You know, I watch my partner. I'm a dad too. You know, sometimes my daughter's just screaming at me at the top of her lungs, right in my ear, while I'm trying to get her to poop, and it's super painful for her. So what am I doing? I'm either letting myself just be like attacked by all that sensation. No, what I personally am doing because I practice sensory deconditioning, I'm swallowing, I'm reinforcing, I'm pressurizing outward to resist all of that sensation, actively resisting that sensation so that I can actually, and it's not really a resistance so much as it's creating like I'm like poised. So that way when I get hit, instead of being stiff like a dead tree and snapping, I can absorb it and absorb it into the ground. And it's actually a lot of it is informed by way of martial arts. I've been a martial artist my entire life. And the sensory deconditioning is something that we're going to be teaching through live courses. And the archive is also a community as well. So there's a channel for each of the types. It's not as sophisticated as the Discord, but eventually I think it will get to that point. But the idea is that, you know, it's really just a home for people that are wanting a somatic approach to human design, right? Doesn't mean you can't study human design, read books, watch lectures, all that stuff is wonderful. But if you don't have a physical action plan to assist that, people get stuck in just studying. Hi, Hillary. Quick tips for almost overstimulated parents. I'm a manifesting generator, so I'll give you guys one of my favorite techniques, and it's part of these this method, but it's called the temple drag. And basically, all you're going to do is you're going to take your head, you're going to squeeze your head, and you're going to try and pop it off like a Lego. Okay, so you take your hands, you squeeze your head, and you pop it off like a Lego. Now, while you're doing that, you're going to let your eyes travel up, just anywhere aside from down. They can be up to the left, up to the right, up to the center, and crossed. Explore up here as you're doing this. And every time you get to the top of your inhale, swallow. Just swallow your saliva. Okay, so if you guys want to do it with me, I'm going to do it right now. So put your hands on your head. They can go in your hair, on top of your hair. However, you can adjust if you need to adjust. But what I'm gonna do is put my hands kind of on like the top of my ears or right in front of my ears. And I'm gonna take my head and I'm gonna drive it upwards and inwards. So I'm squeezing my head, pressurizing my head, and I'm trying to pop my head off. Now I'm gonna look up and I'm gonna take an inhale. When I get to the top of that inhale, I'm gonna swallow. And I'm going to feel the swallow muscles pulling my head back down and pulling my heart and lungs up. Exhale, inhale, swallow, exhale, inhale, swallow, exhale, inhale, swallow, and relax. Dude, I do that to everyone at the end of our treatment. Prana. Brother, I'm so excited about I launched the archive yesterday. I don't know if you caught that, but I launched the archive yesterday, and I'm really excited in the ways that I can make you of service up in there. It's very, very exciting. Do I get hiccups by that? I don't get hiccups that often. No. Marco, I'm grateful you are a reflector type, so you can learn all the tips for all the other types. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so that's really good for overstimulation. That's something that for me, it helps me to reset the mental pressure. Okay, so I've kind of done this when I'm overwhelmed, just not with the awareness or swallowing. Yeah. The gum is actually it's cinnamon flavored. It's this stuff. You guys have probably seen this on TikTok Shop. I bought into it and it's legit awesome. It's actually the best. I really don't like going to the doctor or the dentist. I will if I need to. But the promise of like helping with the teeth and all that stuff, like I've always known that there are natural remedies, but there was never one that really stuck with me. I would choose xylitol mints and stuff like that. Excuse me. But it works really good and it tastes really good. And I get the best doll workouts straight up. Yeah, and I bought into it. It's awesome. Awesome. Sounds amazing. Yeah. So for any parents, anyone dealing with like overstimulation, what we're doing is we're accomplishing what human design set out to do, which is help people surrender to their bodies and their forms, but we're doing it in a way that's not through the mental. Again, nothing wrong with it, and it can happen, but it's the same thing as like you read your entire report. Like I sell reports on my website. You can get one. If you don't have one, they're awesome, and they're really affordable in my opinion. But you can read your entire report, have it all up here, but it never translates to like actual change in your life. Whereas if you're in the archive and you're participating in weekly classes and you're doing the sensory deconditioning and practicing sensory design, it's like you can't not see results. You can't not see results because you're physically exploring your body. You're physically that's surrendering to the form means knowing what kind of form you have. Let's adopt the not self theme of their children. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, we adopt not self themes and strategies from all kinds of people, but we spend a lot of time around our children. And I think probably one of the reasons that happens is because parents want their children to feel understood. And so they will relate to their children in that way, almost to the point of, then adopting the themes of their children, which is actually very interesting because I've watched anger both for myself and my partner, which is the not self theme of our manifestor daughter. I've seen anger come up a lot more in my life than has before, which has been it's been very revealing to watch. Generator children will have frustrated parents. Projector children will have bitter parents. Dude, I see that a lot. Oh my gosh, that's now that you say it out loud like that, that's definitely I see that a lot. I see that a lot. And I think I don't know if it's necessarily like a bad thing. right? Because a lot of this stuff is just, this is just like physics equations. This, if you want to relate with someone, you also have to relate with their shadow, right? You can't just relate with the light part of them. Healing 555515. How are you? I'm wonderful. Yeah, and yeah, exactly. It's just good to be aware of. Um, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I wonder what kind of I wonder what that's going to do for my awareness, because I have been watching anger arise in myself and my partner more recently lately. And you saying that, like, I knew my daughter was going to change a lot. Um, and she has the 1222. So a lot of the times, her emotional wave, it's really very much so about like being the individual and doing the things that she wants to do. Yeah, were your parents disappointed or showed disappointment? Oh, dude, holy crap. You would put me on blast like that. Yes. Yeah, frustration and disappointment. My brother is manifesting generator. I'm frustration and disappointment are for sure there are things, which is interesting because a lot of the times, like we treat frustration and bitterness differently, in terms of like, oh, bitterness is a result of not being acknowledged or not being recognized. Frustration is a result of not following internal guidance. And I've been treating um my protector parent for their not self, and I haven't even looked at the ways that they might be frustrated or disappointed because of me and my brother. Wow, super cool. Yeah, yeah. So healing 55515. I love that you have that in your name. We can totally just keep saying that. For anyone that doesn't know, 55515 is a hack. Anyway, um this past month you've noticed anger coming up. Do you want to talk about what specifically you've been angry about or anything like that? I'm super open to talking about these things. I'm not angry ever. This is great because I'm really not great at um where is that thing? Um Felicity, yes, I'm feeling a lot better. I was gonna say I really don't get people that push my buttons all that much. I've been so tired in freeze mode. So yeah, I'm if you're in freeze mode, want to share, want to like and share the live, y'all? Yeah, thanks guys. If you're liking this live, tap the screen. I'm not trying to push your buttons. No, again, I'm not offended. It's hard for me to ignore. It's hard for me to ignore this kind of stuff, and so I'm kind of seeing it as like just good training for me to not get caught up in every little thing. And as a reflector, I've been doing this for a long time, so I'm not new to this, but I'm still not the best at it, I would say. You don't need to apologize, guitar. I'm not trying to like make you feel shameful or anything. Um, it's just I'm just talking about my own experience. Okay, how do I get to there we go. Hmm. Full of affirmations. All right, a little too much though, Guitar Beast. Don't hog up the chat, please. Mystical Alchemy, buenos dias. Rebecca, hello, hello. Hi, everybody. So for the new people hopping in the chat, what's up? Welcome. If you've never seen me before, my name is Marco, and I'm obsessed with human design. I'm obsessed with a lot of things. But in this live, we usually talk about human design and how to apply it in a practical way. Because I am a man, and I'm very pragmatic, and I'm very, how you say, interested in fulfilling the promise of human design, which is to get us back to natural, right? It's to help us surrender to the bodies that we're in so we can love the life we're in, and that we can love the world that we're in, and can love ourselves, right? That's the promise of human design. And it's not something that is exactly super plain in terms of how to do that. And what I mean is that, let's see, do you have anything on the nuances of HD, like observers and observed environment styles? Yeah, I mean, what do you want to know? Observer versus observed environment style. So you're talking about variables. You're talking about the arrows above your head. And specifically, you're talking about the bottom left variable. So that's going to be your environment. I think is what we're talking about. And the idea is that if your arrow is facing left, you're the kind of person where it's important to be strategic in your environment, or that your environment is strategic and structured, like a lab that creates this product, versus the right facing arrow, which is a lab that creates whatever product we want to create, right? And so the environment's having an intention or having a strategy is really important. Just checking on something here. For the homie. Let's see, is the HD app a one-time purchase or yearly payments? That's yearly payments. And yeah, Prana coming in with the magic. Active and observed in your environments is left. Passive and observing of your environments as right. That's helpful too. With human design, is there a way to see if a certain transits could cause a spiritual awakening? That's a really interesting question. I definitely think when when the transits activate circuits for you, or activate channels for you, that those are all like little mini awakenings. Because if you can think about it as like with bridges, your defined center is always down, but when the undefined center comes down through the transit or some kind of composite, right now the energy is flowing back and forth. Those are opportunities for awakening, big time. But the actual like awakening channel would probably be the 2551. My son is a reflector. My daughter is a projector. My husband is a manifesting generator. Michelle, your family sounds like my family. We don't have a man gen yet, but I have a feeling this baby that's gonna come. I'm a reflector. My partner's a projector. Our daughter's a manifester. So hopefully we get some generator energy to mix some things up. Because there are times when none of us have energy, but we're all like plenty of time. I'm a manifesting generator. Can you explain something about it? Yeah, so the thing that makes you a manifesting generator is what's called a defined sacral. In other words, you want to trust your sacral response to life, the gut feelings that you have in life. You want to learn how to trust them. You also want to stop initiating things with people so that you can tune into those gut responses more. Like, for instance, if your friends are going to a party and you normally just go with them, right? It's important to like, hey, wait a second. Do I want to go to this thing? I don't have energy for this thing. You guys go. I'll stay behind. But it's basically, as a manifesting generator, you really have to build a relationship with your gut, which can be wild sometimes because as a manifesting generator, sometimes your gut will want this thing, and then 2 seconds later, it'll want that thing. And you're like, well, am I crazy? And it's like, yeah, if you live your life from your head, you're crazy. But if you're following your gut and your gut changes, that's just your gut changing. Now, there's one caveat to this is if you are in any type of emotional turmoil or wave around like either like you just won the lottery and you're super like on cloud nine, or you just lost a loved one and you're like really, really low, that is not the time to be making any decisions, right? That is the time to be riding out the emotional wave, possibly doing some of your sensory deconditioning stuff. That is not the time to be following your gut. When you've returned to a sort of general homeostasis, then that's the time to start listening to your gut again. So it's like, as a manifesting generator, life can be much more satisfying if you drop out of your head and you drop into your gut. And that takes practice, that takes time. So I have two things that are going to help you. The first one is a playlist on my TikTok. This is free, and it's called Sacral Calibrations. Basically, it's a little game that I play with you through the screen, and you just go, you practice responding, right? You practice responding with your gut. The second thing is the archive, which is this community that I just launched. And essentially, what we're going to do is we're going to teach you in the archive how to physically do exercises that are going to help you bring everything you see, smell, and taste into your body, into your gut, so that your gut can respond to it. See, one of the problems that people have with being generators and having sacral defined sacral centers is they don't know how to bring any information down into their body. So it just gets everything they see and smell, all the sensation just gets stuck up here. And if you've ever experienced like overthinking or anxiety, like it gets into your chest, but it doesn't get down into your stomach, right? That's all of this sensation that is journeying to make its way all the way through you, all the way down into you. But it's not, but it doesn't get all the way. Speaking of which, my homie is calling, so I'm going to I'm gonna hop on the call. I'm gonna end the live here, guys. I might hop back on a little bit later. I've been definitely really excited to get on live and tell you guys about the archive. The archive right now is $37 per month for the membership, or you can pay for the entire year. And we're going to do let's see. Great. We got 30 more minutes. But anyway, we're scheming and setting up classes in there. But again, we're gonna teach people how to use this more somatic approach to embody your human design. So I'm here for another 30 minutes, guys. By the way, my partner just messaged me like, actually, let me get 30 minutes. He's an emotional manifesting generator, this guy, and one of the most brilliant human beings on the planet. And I'm very excited for those of you that decide to join the archive and start practicing this wild, wacky thing with us, to meet him, because he's incredible. He's one of the most brilliant people that I've ever met. He's 1-3 and on the cross of the Sleeping Phoenix. So in terms of who am I supposed to learn from, and like who's the best person to learn from as we're moving towards 2027 and the whole like birth of the rave children, and I genuinely believe that it's this guy. And as a reflector, I've seen a lot of leaders in the human design space, and they're all wonderful and brilliant in their own regard. But this guy, he's not a leader in the human design space. He's similar to Prana. His mom taught him when he was really young. So he's got like strategy and authority and everything ingrained into his system. And he's like a physical therapist, similar to Prana as well. I wouldn't call him a physical therapist, more like a mad scientist. He trains people in functional training and helps them do crazy things like get out of wheelchairs. And he's broken so many parts of his body and just like fixed it and made it come back stronger. So anyway, he's an awesome person to be learning from, not only because of his design, but also because of his career choices outside of human design. But he's my partner. He's been a really good friend of mine for the past 5 years. And we have been working on how to deliver and what method is best to deliver what we're delivering here. And it's like, I get goosebumps thinking about it, because, it's going to start small. like 15, 20 people, and then eventually it's going to be 40 people, and then it's 50 people, and then we're going to have thousands of people in this community. Like, we've already helped a bunch of people with this in one-on-ones, but actually having a community where all of us can be together and share stories and all that stuff, it's going to be wild. And we're going to have live calls too. So, and those are going to get recorded and kept and stored so that new people coming in can also get up to speed. But anyway, manifestor, motivation, innocence, trajectory of observed, and role model for one. How to initiate. So trajectory is of observed. This is an interesting one because I think, Renee, I think we talked about this before, like, right? Like, it makes you very uncomfortable to be observed. Like, you're used to being the one that's doing the observing, but your trajectory is to be observed. So to be observed in your initiation. The 4-1 is also a very unique profile in the sense that it's a transpersonal and a personal destiny aura. So it's like you're clearing energy with people and you're also moving in the direction of your own personal destiny. They call that the fixed fate. Felicity, so just go, for anyone that wants to, thank you for that. For anyone that wants to join the archive, just go to my website. There's going to be a button on my website to get access to the archive, and then you'll get an email, and the email will give you directions on how to get access to it. Eventually it's going to be its own app, so you'll be able to just like download it from the App Store and then just log in like that, which is pretty cool. Felicity, yes, I'm so excited to have you in there. 4-1s are bridges between karma and personal destiny. I've always seen 4-1s as like, and I'm interested to hear what you have to say, Prana, as well. But I've seen 4-1s as beings that are they're basically, there's like this vortex, right? They're just like sucking people into their experience, even though they're not a generator. Like manifestors, especially, because it's like, it's, you may not like want to be the leader or feel like the leader, but people are definitely looking at you like you're the leader, right? I got Neutrino. It's awesome. Neutrino is the best. Neutrino is the best. And surprisingly enough, the web version of Neutrino is in beta. So if you take your credentials that you use to log into Neutrino Design and you go onto the web version of Neutrino, it's yeah, you can how you say you can use it on your computer, which I don't do all that much. I like the app version better, but definitely when I try to initiate, I feel overpowering for people. Right? Yeah, that's going to be normal again because you've normalized initiating being a lot, right? And a lot of that, I will tell you, Renee, a lot of that is probably in your head. Yeah, I've always wanted to live in a schoolie. Do it. It's fun. Even if you have like a house that you're paying rent for, you can get a bus for, a few $1,000s, renovate it for $1,000 and just have it as a separate space. Yeah, I think it's super helpful to have spaces, especially if you have a lot of undefined centers. Like, I love being able to leave my home, my little cottage across the river there, come into my bus and just be like in a sovereign space. Like, everything here, the mess, the order, it's all mine, and over there in the house, that's all my partner and our baby. Amanda Panda, what's up? What's up? Did you just join? Are you brand new to this live session? That's awesome. Yes. Renee, thank you, Marco. Yes, you're very welcome. And again, it's like there's a gradient. Like, just because you can see where you want to be doesn't mean you don't still have to take 1,000 steps to get there. And don't be discouraged, because there was a point in your life when you couldn't even see where you wanted to be, let alone know how many steps roughly it was going to take to get there. Right. And I say that because a lot of people will do a lot of crazy things to accelerate their deconditioning experience, and they'll literally do all of the things that are not relevant for them to decondition. Right? They'll go learn yoga, they'll go to an ayahuasca retreat, but they won't spend 5 minutes at the beginning of their day meditating and doing sensory deconditioning exercises. So it's so important to acknowledge that it's not about speed, it's about moving in the right direction, right? And that's what velocity is. There's a difference. Like, you could be moving really fast in the totally wrong direction. A lot of people do this. A lot of people straight up go really fast in the wrong direction. And it's because they're not observing their conditioning first. They're trying to tear apart their conditioning and reveal their, transcend their ego and become enlightened and all this stuff. Can you teach a sensory reconditioning program? I am teaching it. This is the exciting thing, Chari. Like I'm teaching this right now. Well, I'm not teaching it right now, but I have a community where I'm going to be teaching this, and we're going to be starting classes up like in the next week. We might wait till after the new year and just drop some videos on you guys, but we are going to be starting up classes where we're going to be taking groups of people. Whoever is in the archive will be able to join, and then once that's out, then that's going to be a course for anyone that joins the archive to be able to go through at their own time. Reflectors have superpowers big time. So reflectors, I would say, like, reflectors are also have the highest potential to be villains in my mind, because everyone projects onto the reflector, right? Like, as a reflector, if you're talking to a reflector, everything you love about the reflector, they're going to be things that you love about yourself. They're reflectors, right? Things that you don't like about yourself. Oops. Things that you maybe don't like about yourself, you're going to see that in the reflector as well. And so it's really how do you say, yeah, reflectors can be some of the greatest heroes and the greatest villains in the world, I would say. And it's unfortunately, I feel like a lot of reflectors get so lost in all the projections, because it's very rare to find a reflector that's come of age that isn't like just super conditioned to be a generator or a projector or some other type. A lot of reflectors, I would say they're probably now I wouldn't say they're the most vulnerable to conditioning, although technically speaking they might be. But generally it's either projectors or reflectors that are going to be heavily conditioned because of how much openness they have. But projectors maybe even more so than reflectors, because they're naturally absorbing, whereas even though reflectors are sampling and they're kind of absorbing energy too, they have this ability to sort of like block it off. The greatest challenge for manifestors is to be transparent. That's what the informing is. Yeah, transparency is, and it's interesting too, because each type has a superpower, really, right? Like the reflector's superpower is to let you know where you're at. Hey, this is where you're at. The manifestor's superpower is transparency. It's telling the truth, making sure people are informed. The projector superpower is guidance, right? The ability to guide someone. And the generator is the ability to like build momentum on something. The manifesting generator is the ability to adapt to things. Those are the superpowers in my from my perspective. Or that's a layer, of the superpowers. And it's super cool too, because again, it's not about learning more about human design. It's genuinely about using human design to become more aware. And this is where my superpower of a reflector is like, you have to become aware of where you're at. That's what I always say. People want to get on to like being enlightened and having enlightened friends and doing enlightened things and spiritual things, but it's like you have to like you have to get there first. And if you're not there, pretending to be there is not going to take you there. A lot of times it'll take you away. But if you acknowledge where you're at, then you can choose a direction. Be like, oh yeah, I actually want to go that way. And then I'll tap you on the shoulder and be like, hey, before we started doing this, you were facing that direction. Do you know that? And you're going to be like, oh, I see it now, but I didn't see it before. Let's go that way. Right. Because again, a lot of people, there's so many things to do. There's so many things that you can be doing to, increase your spiritual voltage. But there's a certain number of things. Fake it till you make it doesn't work for spiritual practice. It doesn't, man. Like fake it till you make it is different than how you say, hold a space for it till it's there, right? Because it's like with manifestation, in a way it's like for instance, if I wanted to manifest a new water tank, the first thing that I would do is not like write it down on a piece of paper and like visualize it. What I would do is I would take this current water tank and I would put it somewhere else. I would make space for it. And then what I would do is then I would probably start to think like, oh, it'd be nice if there was some water there. I'm gonna get some water, blah blah blah. You know what I mean? It's like if when you make space for something, then the thing that was there that was servicing you is no longer servicing you. Then you're like, oh, I need to fill that. I need something there, but I don't want the old thing. But yeah, fake it till you make it is I heard that term a lot, and it's like it's a fine line because faking it till you make it, like you might fake it till you think you make it, but no one else believes you. But that's a funny concept, Mr. Klatt. Morning. Are the vines from the potted plat over yonder? Oh, so it's great actually. So this is some kind of I think philodendron. These vines up here, the ivy ones are fake. That one is real though. And then that one, you can't see that one over there, but that one is real too. But yeah, faking it till you make it is not a great strategy, especially because it's like, you know, a lot of the times it's generally speaking, a lot of the times fake it till you make it is about status. It's like, well, act rich until you're rich. They're like, no, dude, discover the ways that you're actually already rich. Don't look at having money and cars and other people's definition of rich be your definition, because we all have different definitions. And not only that, we have different definitions, but then we also have different definition. We also have different ways of sensing the world. So anyway, what are your thoughts on speaking your high vibe ideas into water before you drink? Oh, I think that's beautiful. No, figure out where you already have wealth. You like that one? Yeah. Fake it till you make it. No, just like figure out where you're actually there already. Figure out where you're actually at, and then you'll be there. And then you don't have to fake it. You can just say, I want to be here, and I'm here right now, but I'm taking steps towards this direction. Right. But I think, yeah, speaking to water has been proven to change the molecular structure of the water. Right. And so one of the simple things that you can do to enhance your life is to speak to your water, speak loving things into your water, or speak nasty things into your water and then throw the water. Like, don't drink it. Warm blankets and fuzzy slippers are rich to me. Belle, I feel you on that one. I'm abundant in lots of ways. I'm always moving closer to my highest timeline. Yeah. And so it's like affirmations, for instance, is another area where you could fake it till you make it. People all the time speak these affirmations out loud, but they're doing this, and meanwhile, nothing is changing in their life. And eventually, like, sure, eventually things will, you do it anything long enough, eventually, like, something will manifest. But you could make it go. There's a more efficient way to do that just by aligning your emotional energy and your physical energy with those affirmations. Walkers or talkers? Well, let me know if you guys have experienced this before. Let's say you're working on a project and you're really excited about it and you're talking to a lot of your friends about it, and it feels like you're working on the project, but you actually haven't done any work on the project. You've just been talking about it. Let me know in the chat if you've experienced that. I'm going to go pee real quick and I will be right back. Over there for you. Experience that. Yes, everything in my life feels like when I talk about it and get nowhere. Talking it out is a great way to get your ideas into the universal conversation. Yes, and when you talk about it too much and you don't like action it, yeah, that's your soul. Action is your soul moving on the conversation. I knew there was something else coming, Mr. Klatt. You're a sharp one. Yeah, like talk about it, bring it into the field, but then also know who not to talk about it with. Like there's certain things that like you have friends, I guarantee you have friends in your circle right now that are they say they're your friends, but they're just hoping that you don't advance to you don't surpass them because it'll make them look bad. You have friends like that, I guarantee. And they may not even know that they're like that. It's insecurity. But you probably have friends like that. And you don't want to tell those friends your dreams and goals because on the surface they'll say like, oh yeah, that's amazing, that's so great, but then behind your back they'll be like, so and so thinks they're going to be a millionaire. Like, yeah, right. It's petty. And yeah, we all have friends like that. And again, it's unconscious. But that's why I personally am like, if you have goals, share them with a small group of people, right? Share them with the people that you really genuinely can trust, that have proven to you over time that they are there to celebrate you, and those are the people that will be with you through the highs and the lows, right? I'll take the haters all the way to the bank. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, let's see. At what age, in your opinion, should a mother stop co-sleeping with their kids energy-wise? Marie, oh, that's such an interesting question. I would say, I feel like personally I slept in the same bed as my parents for a little bit too long. This is just my personal reflection on my own advice, on my own experience. And I feel like the reason they allowed me to sleep in their bed was because like they didn't want to force me to face the reality that they could die any day. That's kind of what it was. The reality is that at some point a child becomes like an adolescent, right? Or you have a toddler that becomes a child. And I don't think it's wrong to, like, if your kid is scared, they need to sleep with you, that's fine. But if your kid is using you like a pacifier, again, like they're still trying to get on the boob, right? When they're well beyond the years, and I would say like 2 to 3. And this doesn't mean that like when they hit 2 to 3, like, you stop sleeping in the same bed as them. But generally that's when you start weaning, right? Some people do it earlier, like a year. But when you're starting to wean, in my opinion, what you're showing them is like, hey, your nervous system, like, you're going to be fine, right? And you want to give them opportunities to like be a little bit scared, but then soothe themselves and be fine. What's those undefined spleens holding on to security? Exactly. So if they have an undefined spleen, they're going to hold on to it a lot more. Definitely. That's so funny, Ron. Oh my God. You're on one today. I made sure by 4 and 5 they knew they had their own safe place to sleep, but Mom is always here. Yeah, that seems about right. Because again, with children, it's like, what do I want to say right now? With children, like, the best lesson is like, hey, just make sure you know what's actually happening. Don't assume that you know what's happening. And you're gonna get a lot of advice from me, from a bunch of people. And I'm not saying don't take any of that advice, but just genuinely, like, what you should be able to do is see how well that advice works with what's going on with you, and decide for yourself if you're going to use it or not just because someone said it. Now the 35-year-old 6'10" guy is the most frequent snuggler, about twice a month. That's cute. He raised his own kids with an open door policy for snuggling. Respect, praises, love, truth, light. Yes. I'm a splenic manifester, but it's feeling very weird to me. How do I hear my gut feeling better? So as a manifester, happiness in a hug, it's going to be more challenging to hear your sacral response. And also your sacral response is not necessarily a like that's not the point of your decision making, right? It's your spleen. And so what you want to do is you want to discern the difference between an and like splenic intuition. Don't make that comment, or make sure you do that thing right there. Excuse me, guys. I'll be right back. And I am back. Can you speak on the ringing in my ears? Yeah. So essentially, those kinds of like bodily sensations that seem to come out of nowhere, I perceive those. I perceive that as intuition, right? Because the part of our body, the awareness center in our body that keeps us alive is the spleen. It's the thing that says that's dangerous over there, or like something's wrong inside of us. You know, it's biological survival and awareness of potential danger by use of fear. So when you get like the ringing in your ears or any of that kind of stuff, to me, whenever I get ringing in my ears, I perk up. I repressurize myself. I become hyper aware of my environment as a danger kind of thing. Like I go into like, oh, just like chilling to like I'm looking around. I'm like, who's around me? Is there any potential dangers? Because it's like, if the spleen wants my attention, I'm going to give my spleen my attention. Because again, the spleen's job, the organ in your body whose job it is to scan your blood and find viruses and bacteria and deploy white blood cells, it's your immune system. Depends on which one. Right ear is confirmation, left is warning. Right. So for and in human design, the right ear is associated with gate 57. I don't know what the left ear is associated with. Prana, do you know what the left ear is associated with? Yeah, and this this arbitrary, or this like right ear is confirmation, 22 is the left ear. Okay. Oh, that makes perfect sense, because those are like the individual. Okay, love that. Thank you. Yeah, I would say, and because 22 is actually my sun gate, which is like grace. It's like openness. It's the ability to like hear people and perceive people, but it's also the nervousness around not being heard, and not that's not being heard, but it's like not having anything worth listening to, or people not listening to you. Is that the 1222 channel? Yeah. So if you look at the body graph, the 57 is in the spleen, on the individual, in the individual area, in the individual channel, and then the 22 is on the other side. Ooh, Functional Joe. Yeah, there he is. Functional Joe on TikTok. Let's go. Good to see you in here, brother. So you have the 57, which is the right ear, and the 22, which is the left ear, and they're in the same spot in terms of mirrored body graph. They're in the same spot. They're in the awareness center. They're in the awareness up to the throat. Man, there's so many things that we don't know about human design and the body graph and how it relates to our physiology yet. And we are in, because like we're like the nerdy kids, you know what I mean? We're like the nerdy kids that are just working on computers before computers are cool, and everyone else is just like, oh, this is lame. Yeah, this is Soldier blocked me. Guitar Beast, you're doing a lot of talking. You're just doing a lot. You're doing a lot of this. I'm about to mute you in a minute if you can't. Bring it under control, please. 43, 38, and 39 are gates of deafness. Don't be sorry, Guitar Beast. Just stop. Um, gates of deafness. So these are areas like 43, that's in the ajna going down towards the throat. That's like the idea that your ideas are too weird. 39 is provocation. Um, and then the 38 is the game player or the fighter. All of that individual circuitry, but those are the three areas where it's like if you have those, yeah, you're going to be kind of deaf to the outside world. So I have that channel. Would that affect the throat chakra? Yeah. So that's what we call a manifesting channel. That's the 1222, and that is your connection from your motor center to your throat center, which makes you a manifester. What about cough or phlegm that comes up when there are negative vibes, feelings, or getting rid of? It's clearing energy from your inside in your internal body, right? Is how you say it's like a signal. It's a signal that like, hey, your immune system is working. Same thing like if your nose is runny or you have diarrhea, right? That's like you letting go of stuff. Granted, it's not like the way it's supposed to be. It's like kind of like a forced evacuation, depending on the diarrhea that you have. But any kind of like burping or coughing up phlegm and stuff like that, I wouldn't necessarily associate it to like, oh, I'm just transmuting the energy of the environment. I'm not saying it's not that, but the people who are like really proud of that's what they're doing, I'm like, why are you here if you're constantly having to transmute the bad energy of this environment? It brings up questions for me, especially when people gloat about like and not saying you are Mr. Clat, just like I know a lot of people in communities, like they talk about stuff like this. It's like, oh, like you're doing such a great service for the community by being here and we should pay you to be here. Like very rarely are there actually people that are doing that. Very rarely. Most of the times that person thinks they're clearing energy in the room when they're actually just clearing stuff out of their own body. I get hiccups when I get negative vibes from someone. Right. So you can definitely have like response. That's just called like an internal response. And for instance, again, it's like once those negative vibes start to come into your field, you're going to start to cycle them out. Right. It's not about clearing them of their negative vibes. And I love to, I got that 39. So I love to just like poke at this kind of stuff because again, if no one pokes at it, people are walking around like, oh, thank you so much for clearing the energy of the room. It's like they didn't do nothing. They made it just look like they're doing something. They actually didn't do nothing. A lot of people that are like quote unquote spiritual are yeah, they're charlatans. So like clearing negative BS from your space, that's a thing. Clearing negative BS from other people's spaces, again, it's not that that's not a thing. It's just the people who say that that's what they're doing, usually that's not what they're doing. And you have to be very mindful again, because a lot of those kinds of characters are like seeking validation from people. That's why they're like, again, gloating about it or talking about it. Yeah, and it's also not your job. It's like that might seem like a cool thing, but this person is probably the kind of person that like, says they'll help a friend move, and then they go and help a friend move, and then they're like, oh, I helped a friend move and he didn't help me with this. Like they're the tick for tack kind of people. Yeah, and your negative BS isn't my job to deal with. Exactly. So yeah, I cycle it out of my own system. And it's the thing though, is like when I get people in my field like that, I like to just like entertain it to see at the point, like how long can I entertain this before I start to get upset and be like, yeah, I'm wasting my time here. I need to leave. Just because it's not about being better than them. It's just about the dynamics not syncing up, right? Like if I'm playing one song and you're playing another song, like you're singing a song, but it doesn't match up with my song, I'm going to stop and be like, hey, look, are we playing the same song? Are we playing as a band, or are you just going to do your own thing? Because if you're just going to do your own thing, maybe I can let go of what I thought we were doing and I can do what you're doing, or vice versa. But if we're supposed to be doing the same thing and you're just doing your own thing, I'm not interested. Like you play that game, I'm not going to play that game. I'm open to playing the game, but we have to agree on like what we're doing. My emotions seem to affect others so much. I try to keep them to myself and it's so hard. Mainly my kids picking up my stress and frustration. Yeah, so if you have the defined solar plexus, but even if you have the undefined solar plexus, you're still going to experience emotional waves and emotional energy. And it's important to have a way to actually process that emotional energy so your kids don't pick up on it. And not that it's bad for them to see you crying, but it's bad for them to be how you say, the perceived kind of like reason you're crying, or the like they did something and now it's coming out on them. And the best way to process emotions is through like actual somatic processing. So my step, it's like a 4-step process. Number one, you have to identify when you're in the emotional wave. Number two, you have to go somewhere safe, which is away from the kids, maybe go for a walk. The third thing is like let the emotions come up, express them. If you're angry, dig a hole, scream into the ground. If you're frustrated, break sticks and throw sticks. But you have to like let that thing be expressed. And then the fourth step, and this is most important, is once you've expressed that emotion, now you just need to like relax for like 2-3 minutes and just like let the energy settle. Little for find time to have your own space because you're going to amplify them. Yeah, so it's like, process your emotions. And also it's also like a mental battle of like when your kids are moving through their own emotional waves, your role is not to help your kids move through the emotional wave. Your role as a parent is actually to observe them as they're moving through their emotional wave and keep them from hurting themselves, right? Because what happens when a parent is constantly trying to like make their kid feel better is they're actually robbing their child of an experience that will ultimately mature them over time. And this is where you have like 35-year-old dudes that still don't know how to process their emotions, and they're very insecure, and they're neurotic in some senses. But it's like it's hard for a parent to let a kid go through an emotional wave on their own. And I'm not saying like abandon them to their emotional wave. What I'm saying is encourage them, believe in them, like reassure them, like you can do this, you got this. Like my daughter, she'll take her shirt off and she'll get stuck and she'll be like, and like she's dying, right? And I'll be like, you got this, baby. Yeah, you can do it. Like they're looking at us like, am I actually dying? And if you're like, oh my God, are you okay? But does things to them, does things to them. Yeah. And so littlest for, yeah, it's hard. It really is hard. But you also have to do the things. All right, guys, that's gonna be it for me. I love you. I gotta hop on a call here with my partner in a minute. We're gonna scheme some archive stuff. If you guys are not already following me, please give me a follow, especially if you resonate. I have reports. I do one-on-one sessions. But the thing that I'm really excited about is this community that I just launched. It's called The Archive. It's the first button. If you click the link in my bio, please come check it out. Again, it's a satisfaction guarantee. If you don't absolutely love it in the first month, I'll just give you your money back. I'm really, really excited to share this with you guys. I've been studying human design for a really long time, and this is new. This is a new approach to human design, where we're looking at human design and the deconditioning process through somatic exercises and physical exercises, as opposed to like learning a bunch of information. And my bet is that you will be able to use human design better with sensory deconditioning, which is what we're showing you in the archive, as opposed to spending years learning years learning about human design. Spend a couple months doing some sensory deconditioning stuff with us in the archive, and you'll see. You guys will see. So again, link is in the bio. Come check it out. We're going to be announcing classes and stuff like that soon. It's still early entry, so this is your opportunity to get in at like a below than average price. The price is going to go up probably in a couple weeks. We'll see how crazy things get. But this is something that the community has been asking for a really long time, and that I've been super excited to share. So please, 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 please come join the archive if you actually want to surrender to your form and embody all of this information that we've been talking about on these lives, guys. This is the culmination, and this is just the beginning of it. So with that, thank you guys, and I will see you probably over the weekend. I'll go live probably over the weekend, just to further share information about the archive and whatnot. Functional Joe, love you, brother. Prana, thank you for being here. Mr. Clat and all my regulars, I love you guys, and I'll see you next time. Ciao.